competition is drinking wine the right way. She's the tasting room and events manager here at Jasper Winery and spends her day teaching Iowans about wine. She enjoys practicing the belief that the glass is always half full, especially when it comes to drinking a glass of wine. So let's give her a big round of applause.
Drank wine before, and some of you maybe haven't. Some of you have maybe drank it the wrong way. So we'll tonight figure out how to drink it correctly. The best part about my job is that I always wanted to be a teacher. Unfortunately, I don't like kids, so I just teach kids. So oftentimes when people think, oh, well, I'm not a wine drinker, I don't look like this guy. I don't look like that guy. The only way to become a wine drinker is to drink wine, is to practice, is to have fun. So, now that's one option for drinking wine. I wouldn't necessarily say that drinking a box of Franzia, like this gentleman is the appropriate way, but he's probably having a real good time. And drinking wine is about having fun, especially with friends. So when you're drinking wine, you always want to be confident. Throw your shoulders back, stand up a little bit, and act confident. You can say whatever you want, and if you say it confidently, people will believe you. I mean, you guys are believing me right now, right? Yeah, excellent. So when you go to a tasting room, like Jasper Winery, or you go to a wine shop, or you go to a wine festival downtown every summer, that's where you're going to taste wine. So there's a few steps to that. When you walk into a place, you want to tell them what kind of wine you like. And if you don't know, they're just going to start you. So generally when you taste wine, you want to taste white to rosé to red. You want to taste dry to sweet. That's going to be the best tasting route for your taste buds. All right, so they're going to fill your glass with about an ounce of wine. This is 2.5 ounces. I should probably drink more. So first they're going to fill your wine, and you want to pick that glass up and look at it. So if you have wine in your hand, go ahead and do this. It's not exactly the same out of plastic, but so you're going to look at your wine. And each grape has a different color to it. So you're looking at the color. You're also going to look at the legs or the tears, as you can kind of see. The legs and the tears will tell you how much alcohol you have in that wine. So the slower those little droplets fall, the more alcohol you have. Next up is time to swirl it. And keep in mind, if you have just a taste, you can swirl as hard as you want. If you have a glass of wine, be careful. Kind of like SeaWorld when you get the tarps. Okay, after swirling it, you're opening up all of the aromas. Next up, you want to smell your wine. And you're going to do just like George Riedel here on the left. And you're going to stick your whole nose in it. The whole point of that is to create a suction with your face, so you can really smell all the aromas. Now recently I've had a lot of people tell me, that looks dumb, that's not how I learned it. George Riedel, whose name is on the bottom of this wine glass, says put your whole nose in it. I put my whole nose in it. One thing when you're tasting wine is possibly you want to use something like this called the aroma wheel. And this is going to help you decipher what, help your brain figure out what your tongue is tasting. So if you're tasting fruit flavors, it helps you kind of figure out which fruit you're tasting. And after smelling it, tip your head back, put a little bit of wine in your mouth, and let it flow side to side, front to back, and then go ahead and swallow that wine when you're ready. I'm just going to breathe there for a second. Okay, so as you're tasting that wine, then you want to think about it. What are you tasting? Are you tasting blackberry flavors? Are you tasting, kind of looks like potato, red potato, I don't know. So think about what you're actually tasting. And the cool part about that is, if you're acting confident, you can say whatever you want. You can say it tastes like marshmallows, and someone will say, I'm getting the campfire, I'm getting the s'mores vibe. So, then it's fun to get a group of people together to judge wine. And you're judging it for you personally. You're not going to say that this is the best wine for someone else, but it's the best wine for you. So sit down, really think about that wine. You can use a scoring guide. I don't know that you're using... Okay, so So biggest part about drinking wine is really to ask questions. Ask questions when you're at the wine shops, when you're at the tasting rooms at the wineries, when you're Googling. Any question you have, just ask it. There's a million things to learn about wine. Okay, so a little bit of extra info is people always ask about the alcohol content. So on the left, you see our behind the shed red. It's a table wine. A table wine doesn't mean it's dry. It doesn't mean it's sweet. It means that the alcohol content is between 10 and 14%. Okay? Now you know there's no alcohol percentage on there. Wine often pairs really well with food. Sometimes it's even good by itself. But you know, when you're pairing wine and food, you want to pair the flavors because they complement each other or they contrast each other. So that's why a sweet wine goes with something salty. That's why an earthy wine goes with something sweet. So this is a picture of Nicole and I doing a cheese and wine pairing during our working hours. You can be jealous. So we just pulled out a bunch of wine, we just pulled out a bunch of cheese, and we tasted them together to figure out which ones we liked the best. And we ended up with 7 wines to go with 7 cheeses. You'll also see different wine glasses. So here's a bunch of different ones. But standard wine glass, you generally have a white wine glass or a red wine glass. If you want to see closer what those look like, just come in and ask us. But a red wine glass is going to be a little bit bigger, has a larger surface area so that that dry red wine can open up even better and stay warm. Since we all do love tailgating in Iowa, keep in mind that wine is good for tailgating, possibly not out of a funnel. So, if your friends are ever pressuring you to drink wine a way that you don't want to, if they're pressuring you to drink a wine you don't want to, just simply say, no thank you, and move on. But maybe go for some sangria for tailgating. But most importantly, the best way to drink wine the right way is to have fun with it, is to learn a lot, do it with friends, it's even more fun, and ask questions, but have a good time. So, cheers!